a a vintage crate with you. It will be our planter for a succulent garden. So, first things first, you'll need your crate. This is the basic crate that I've started with today. I'm recording live today from Paris, France. I live in a neighborhood where historically there are a lot of woodworkers. And so I'm lucky just around the corner there is a boutique and artisan who puts together lots of different wood pieces. Now you can probably easily construct one of these yourself, or otherwise ask at your local supermarket, or perhaps if you have a local open air market with the fresh produce, I'm sure you'll find something. Now, seeing as mine is unfinished wood, my first step would be to varnish it. Now we're going to be transforming this basic guy into this garden here. You guys can see that. So clearly this one is the same crate as this one, but I've varnished it. So the varnish that I used is this one here. It's a rustic oak varnish. I used 2 coats, so this takes a couple of days. I'll be doing it here live with you. A couple of days for 2 coats, etc. Use whatever varnish you prefer. I liked this one. And then our next step would obviously be to add this lettering. Now, if you think about it, these crates, the vintage crates, are used by brands. For example, Coca-Cola comes to mind. They would use these crates to transport their Coke bottles. So oftentimes on vintage crates, we'll see different brands. This one here, it's a fictional one. I created Peach One Farms Premium Quality Peaches. So you could, if you really want to go all out with the vintage look, I would recommend going for some sort of brand. It could be a fictional brand. Otherwise, this crate that I have here is going to be a crate for a friend, and he wants it to be written just nature reserve. So more corresponding to the garden that I'll be putting together for him. So once you've got this finished, next step is the lettering. So let me show you how to do that. Now, what I did was that this is not a stencil. I actually used a technique with transfer. So what I did was I used Google Docs. You can use any word processor, Microsoft Word, whatever. I like Google Docs. You go in there, create a blank document. Now you've got a bunch of font choices. So along the toolbar up on the top, you'll see the font. A bunch more, find whatever suits your fancy for the text that you want to include. And then you're going to want to print it out. So this is what I've done here. Like I said, my friend wants it to have nature reserve written across here. For now, just for example, I've just done nature. And of course, you're going to want to print it out to the right size that you're going to be transferring it over to. So you might need to print out a couple of times to get it just where you want it. Now to show you, I'm just going to show you one letter today. It's a relatively long process, so we're not going to be doing the entire thing. I'm just trimming it up a little bit. And our tools that we're going to need today to do the lettering is a soft pencil. Now this is a 9B pencil. B indicates the softness, and the numbers do too. So 9 is the highest you can go. So this is essentially going to be the darkest effect pencil that you can get. It's almost like charcoal. And why do we need that? It makes it a bit like almost more, I want to say greasy, that's not the right word, but it helps transfer over. Otherwise, you're just going to need a regular pen or pencil. And lastly, a permanent marker to do the final text here. Now, I have here M size. It's not one of your thicker permanent markers. It's the M, so you can see just about the size that it is. It's about perfect for this. So you can do entirely text if you want. You might actually want to add in some icons on there, or other decorative swirls, whatever. So whatever floats your boat. I've only done text on this side because I'm really gonna, I kind of created a composition in which, you know, you're really looking at it straight on, but you can add text wherever you fancy. So our first step is, now imagine we're going to want this to transfer on here like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the soft pencil, and on this side, so on the other side of where it printed, I'm going to just trace in where the lettering is. So this is actually easy to do against a window, so you can kind of see through it. Maybe I can do it against the wall here. We can try. I'm not doing it perfectly, just for the sake of demonstration. So clearly I'm using the soft pencil on the side where the ink was not printed. Ooh, you can see that there. And what we're going to do is, I would have obviously done that much better so that I can get exactly the font that I have on this side. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay this down on here so that on this side we've got the pencil, this side we've got the ink. What you would do is you would tape it down so it stays in place, and then you're going to use your regular pencil or pen, and you're going to just really hard, you're going to push down and you're going to write over it like that. I'll do that really quick just for demonstration. You can see that the soft pencil was transferred over. And the idea would be that afterwards, then you go back, you use your permanent pen, and you complete the text. And you'll end up with something like this. So that's essentially how you do the text, the typography, if that's the right word. And you'll end up with something like this. Now, to finish the planter, what I did was I added some burlap here, and I've also got a layer of plastic inside as well. Now the plastic, you can use any plastic. The plastic can be a trash bag. Ideally, you're basically not going to see it. It's essentially just keeping the soil in there. Now, seeing as these are succulents, they prefer fast soil, you know, cactus soil with lots of sand in it. What's the word I'm looking for? Fast draining. There you go. Fast draining soil. Obviously, we want to cut some holes in the plastic before laying down the soil, just so that the water can go through. And what I did was I used a hammer and some small nails to keep the burlap and the plastic in place. You could also use staples if you've got like a heavy duty staple gun. That's about it. So clearly I've tucked the burlap in pretty well here because I obviously didn't want it covering up my text. But on the sides here, I've kind of left it out, and it's kind of nice around the sides. And that's about it for creating your planter. Then what you're going to want to do is, if you're going to use succulents like me, let me bring in the camera. You can see here the garden. Now I haven't quite finished all the way. What's missing is the stand. I'll explain that to you guys in just a minute. But I just wanted to go over the composition. So clearly we're not putting the garden together today, but I just wanted to go over some of the basics of creating such a garden. So with any sort of container garden arrangement, you've got the thriller, filler, spiller approach. The thriller is going to be your taller plant. So this is our thriller in this case. And then I've got lots of fillers here. I don't notably have any spillers. Spillers are the ones that are going to be kind of falling off over the sides. And I chose to do so because this is kind of more of a landscape that I've created here. And I just felt like it wasn't necessarily necessary with this format of a box. However, I do have a couple of donkey tails here. And these are hanging succulents. So if these guys grow and get big, they will in fact be spillers. Otherwise, what you got to keep in mind is that, as you can see, I've got some repetition. So that makes for a nice, I'm going to pull this in here, makes for a nice garden. So as you can see, I've got 2 rosettes of the same kind. And I've got these guys, I forget what they're called. I think they're called hobbits, something or other. I'll look it up and I'll put it in the notes. I've actually got 4 of those. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the donkey tails here. And just to kind of harmonizes, you know, to kind of remain within the same color palette. Then I used these guys. I've got 3 of them in the garden. I picked these up at the local craft shop. And I've got a few fairy garden figurines, essentially a little dragonfly over here, a little mushroom or toadstool house, and a little hedgehog. Now what's missing, the only thing that's missing today is some sand. So I've got beige colored sand that I will be adding in here. I'll be using a medium to fine grained sand to cover the whole thing. And then what I'll use is got a gravel, the same color, beige as well, but a kind of a thicker gravel that I'll use right along here to create a pathway. And that will really harmonize it and bring it all together. I think that sand for a succulent garden, or moss or some sort of ground cover for other fairy gardens using regular plants like ferns and stuff, really brings it together, as opposed to just leaving the soil exposed. So there you have it. I will show you guys pictures of the garden once I have added in the sand. I think you'll really like it. I look forward, and for care for the garden, again, these are succulents. So easy, low maintenance. In the summertime, these guys will need water about once a week. I would say that you would need maybe 1 to 2 of these, depending on the heat in your region, in the summer per week, and about half of that, so once every 2 weeks. Otherwise, these guys need a good amount of sunlight, so try to keep them, if you're in an apartment, try to keep them near a window with lots of sunlight, or outside when you can. Probably wouldn't want to leave them outside when it's raining. They don't need that much water. You want to control the amount of water that they get. What else? But that's about it. So I'm posting a list of all of the materials that were used today. As you can see, the tools were not that extensive. This is a really fun and easy little garden to put together. I love the look of the vintage planter. What you think, how you would have done it otherwise. If you put one together yourself, please let me know. Tag Yabani Gardens on Facebook or Instagram if you post your creations. I would love to see. And let me know also via Facebook chat to Yabani Gardens if there are any other projects that you'd like to put together that you'd like me to do. All right. Thank you so much. And until next time, bye.